Welcome to the Abundance Journey, the show that helps spiritual entrepreneurs create an abundance mindset that accelerates revenue. Secretly, everything you experience in your life is actually abundance. Once you understand how to activate abundance, you find yourself in flow with your business and clients, so it's easy to create the revenue you want. The Abundance Journey is the only show that activates abundance for you, so you enjoy rapid results in your business. Here's your host, the Abundance Ambassador, Elaine Starling.
Hey, it's Elaine. And I really want to point out something that's super important. You already know that your words have great power. Well, the words you say to yourself are the most powerful words of all. And that's why I am thrilled to pieces that Theresa Byrne is here to chat with us today. Theresa is an award-winning mindset coach, author, and she's also a TEDx keynote speaker. I saw her TEDx talk. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I'll make sure the link is in the show notes. This is something you absolutely have to watch because she gets it in a way I can't explain. You'll get it as you talk to her today. But she's so brilliant at helping people break through challenges like negativity and stress, self-sabotage. She helps them find peace and inspiration in their lives because she's a natural-born protector. She's an empowerment authority, a brain geek, a martial arts self-defense expert who's worked directly with over 45,000 clients and millions more through her television work. She helps people build their mental, emotional, physical skills, change their thinking, and live confidently, no matter what. Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter what your circumstances are, doesn't matter what's happening in your life. You have so much more power than you know. And Theresa is brilliant at helping you access that power. Theresa, yay, you're here.
Thank you. Oh, it's so great. It's so great. I love what you're up to. I love what you're doing. And I love exactly what you said about powerful words. We forget.
Yeah, we totally forget. And I want you to think back because obviously you're really passionate about what you're doing with people. It shows in every aspect of who you are and how you show up. I love that passion and that enthusiasm. Why are you so committed to this? Why is this so important that people understand this?
Well, I think many of us have like an origin story, right? Like every superhero or every human being has an origin story. And I remember being a kid and I kept trying to figure out what was wrong with me because I didn't fit in with the other kids. I was kind of a geek when it came to school, but socially I was less apt than you would want to be. And I had a really negative father and I felt freaking powerless. I remember looking for resources and finally I went to the library because what do you do when you're a kid, right? And you don't know where to turn. And there were no coaches and this was not a conversation. And I just remember feeling there's got to be more. I wanted help and there was nowhere to turn. So I bought my first self-help book at the age of 13 to try to figure out what was going on? Why did I feel powerless? What could I do? And really, for me, that turned into, I don't want anyone to have to go through that. I want them to have a place to go. If you don't feel powerful, if you don't know where to turn, if you're hitting rock bottom, emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, I want to offer that resource because I remember to the depth of my being, how it felt not to know what to do and where to go. And I coined this whole term called Inpower. And it is the inherent, innate, inner, intuitive power that lives within each of us. And that is what I want people to learn how to access. And sometimes it means accessing or unlearning, like you said, the words that we say to ourselves. It means listening to how we talk to ourselves, like the inner bully in my TEDx talk, because that's a huge important part of it. And I just need to be that resource. I want people to have a place to go.
Absolutely. And I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing because you really are transforming lives. Now, obviously, we're here on the abundance journey and you're talking about Inpower and owning your power. Could you help us connect abundance and what you're doing? Because you are creating abundance for your clients. How would you define it?
More than enough. Abundance is more than enough. More love, more money, more prosperity, more wealth, more impact. I define my success by the positive impact. I had a car accident, and I had an NDE during it. And when I came back, I was like, I don't need to motivate and inspire 1 million people anymore. If I do, it's a bonus. I need to motivate and inspire one soul every day. Abundance is the day that I check off that I help to inspire one soul in that day. So abundance is more than enough. Whatever it is you want or you need, it's more than you need.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that's so profound that you're offering people is an abundance of courage and confidence and skill to handle whatever shows up in your life, no matter how challenging it is, that you can own the brilliance that you are and be your true authentic self and stand in that power and face it head on and move right through it. Because that's one of the things that I talk about is the power of love. And every single challenge that we encounter is there inspiring us to show up as more love for ourselves and for everyone involved or impacted. And we don't always automatically do that. We tend to go into that self-protection mode instead of that strength mode. And that's why I think it's so incredibly powerful what you're doing and why I was so pleased that I could get you on the show.
Oh, you're amazing. Well, think about it. Like most of us, we're more afraid of losing what we have than gaining new. And our brains will often seek pleasure and avoid pain. And if something new sounds scary or hard, we're more likely to stay in this position, rolled up in a ball. I call it the fetal, like there's thriving and there's surviving. And then there's fetal where you're like, I can't anymore with the life. But imagine that, right? Like we are, whatever's happened, it might have been devastation in some way, shape, or form. I had a car accident, which pretty much, wiped my brain free in good ways, mostly, but it took a while to heal. But that idea of anything that devastates us or takes our power away, then all we want is safety. We just need a safety, a place to feel good. But a lot of times, I'm guessing you see this with your clients, abundance is actually outside of that safety net. I teach people to step up to their comfort zone and take a toe over. Like there's your growth zone. Like just, you don't have to jump out of the airplane, but just start the toe.
Yeah, that is so true. It's really getting started, I think, is often the hardest part for people. But I want you to step back and think about some of the common things that you notice with your clients. What are some of those symptoms that they're having, that they're experiencing in their life that shows that they are really ready to get help from you?
Oh, man, I wish I had I do have a magic wand somewhere.
I know. I keep looking for one. That's great. I love
Amazon,
that.
my friend, Amazon. So overwhelmed, drained, exhausted. And then my clients oftentimes will start asking the question, is this all there is?
Yes.
Like, when is it my turn? And what else is there? And it might be that they know or they don't know, but they're not sure where to turn. I often say that the old keys won't open new doors. And I'm pretty sure I didn't make that up, but all of the ways that we got to where we are is not going to get us forward. And so we have to get a coach, a learning. And I love coaching for the reason that it helps us experientially. You can read all the books, go to all the seminars, but brain science tells us that within 72 hours, the information starts leaving our brains. So that's one of the reasons I love coaching, or like your podcast, having an abundance mindset, continually offering this concept and this journey for people that's really going to get them there. So my clients are always in this drained. So we either have energy or we don't. And so my clients are often in that drained space. They're not in that excited, elevated, energized space. And they feel stuck. They feel stopped and they don't know why. And they're asking that same question, oddly enough, as I did when I was a kid, like, where can I go? What can I do? How can I get out of this? Mm-hmm. They know there's more. And a lot of my clients, very successful in some areas, not so much in others.
Yeah, it's that there's more. And I know there's more, but I don't know how to get there from here. Right? I think that's the key, because there are people who've totally given up. right? They are in a ball and they don't want to get out of their ball. And they're just not willing to change. They're not willing to experience anything different. And one of the things that I've noticed, and I would love to hear your opinion on this, I've noticed that for my external world to change, something has to change inside me. And what do you notice is that shift that people have to experience, they have to be willing to do to start to experience a whole new way of life?
Well, I'll give you 4 points, but first I want to say that there was a study done that showed 85% of the US doesn't believe that they can change their circumstances. Life is happening to them. That energy isn't real. You just deal with whatever shows up the best that you possibly can. And that's how life looks. The other 15% are willing to step in and look to see what's available to them. And there's probably about 3% in there of us that are making that change. Now, if you're in this work, Elaine, we think everybody thinks like us. They don't. They absolutely don't. I mean, and I am from a family where you just dealt with life and you did it as best you could. You turned the other cheek. You didn't make waves. You didn't make changes because it wasn't possible. And so I think I would love to see as many of us speaking to that 85% to help them understand that change is possible. So to get that change, first, my clients or anybody that wants to change their world, be open, asking those questions and being open to answers. Is there more? Yes. Could I do more? Yes. Could I feel differently? Absolutely. And the second one is knowing what's stopping you. Each of us have parts of our brain that support and love us, and another part of our brain that is based on our adrenaline, our adrenal system, fight, flight, or freeze, or safety, or don't do that because it's scary, or whatever you want to call it. So we have to be conscious of what's defeating us or what's sabotaging us. The next one is look for a new way. Whether it is your podcast, whether it is coaching, whether it is going and taking those experiential workshops, do it. Be open to it. And then the last one is being coachable and being willing to try a new framework. A lot of times with my clients, I will create a boundary framework for them because boundaries are everything to me. And I had a client a couple of weeks ago who is an interior designer, and she was going in to ask for more money up front for projects. And she was going to start with $10,000. And we looked at all of the pieces of it. And then she ended up going asking for $180,000 and got it.
Good for her.
But it was her boundary, right? Like asking, and then be willing. And that to me is just like, where aren't I? Where aren't I asking for more or asking for help or trying something new?
Where aren't I asking for more? Yeah. I'm trying to write this down because
I'm typing it down too,
wow,
sister, because
that's really good. Where am I not asking for more? Yeah. Absolutely.
And I want to say a little bit more about that, if that's okay.
Please go for it. Go for it.
I teach boundaries exactly opposite. I don't teach them from the outside in. I teach them from inside out. And these are the most important boundaries first. They start here. And because most people are learning boundaries as a no, or a like, stay that way, or no, I don't, whatever. You're addressing them from someone else. Well, boundaries start here. And it's a contrast concept. What do I want more of? What do I want less of? What do I choose? What do I not choose? And being able to identify those things starts internally before it's external.
Ooh, that is powerful. That is so powerful because, yeah, you have incredible power inside you. And I talk about the superpower of choice because you are given contrast. It is one of the biggest blessings that you experience in your life, what is wanted and what is not wanted. And through that contrast, you're inspired to grow and show up as more love in every moment. And that's the whole thing. You are on the cutting edge of the divine, creating more divine by being willing to create more love for yourself and others. So, yeah, I love this concept of going within and really owning who you want to be and how you want to show up. It is a choice. And like you said, for the client that you've been working with, she thought she was a $10,000 person. instead of a $180,000 person. I'm doing some market research with people right now. And one of the things that I'm talking to them about is, what's your ideal day? Well, I always start out by asking them, how do you define abundance? And money's always in there somewhere. Often it's the first thing that they mention, and then they mention a whole lot of other stuff. And when we get to their ideal day, their dream day, it's very interesting. They've already put themselves in a box. And what they do is they decorate their box. It's a very pretty, lovely box now. It's gorgeous. And it's a box, right? They haven't allowed themselves to go outside and redefine who they want to be. They aren't viewing abundance in terms of who they want to be. They're viewing abundance in terms of, here's my little box and here, what am I allowed to experience as abundance? And that's so sad. That's really sad.
You remind me of, in college, I'm not an artist. I wish I was artistic. I'm more artsy with words. I took an art class and the instructor said something that like nailed me to the wall, and I still remember. And he said, don't pick your favorite crayon and put it in a box and frame it on the wall.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I want to use that crayon. No, don't use the special crayon. It's pretty. Like, bust out that freaking crayon. Use the china. Be all those versions of yourself. Don't put yourself in a frame and a box.
Or limits. There are no limits to your abundance and your potential and what you can experience, because you're in partnership with the divine, and the divine has a much bigger vision of what's possible for you and all of the incredible experiences you get to have. So, Theresa, I'm sorry, I do have to get us a little bit back on track, because you've got a process, you've got a system that helps people shift from where they are to where they want to be. And, you know, like you said, you have your magic wand. And probably people don't have an experienced transformation, like overnight success, right? That's it. There's a series of experiences you have that show you're on the right track. So what would you get people to focus on so that they know they're making progress?
First definition would be that you are either in or out of your power. Start recognizing when you are upset, angry, frustrated, drained, overwhelmed, angry, short-tempered, all of the things, and then start recognizing, when are you energized, creative, connected, empathetic, intuitive. All of those pieces matter. And again, we live in this 3D reality where there's contrast. Start learning your contrast. And that's really being in or out of your power. And it's pretty simple. Thanks.
That is brilliant. Learn your contrast. It's kind of like learning your hot buttons, right? It's learning what sets you off and what limits you. Yeah. I had a really interesting experience recently. I was backing out of a parking place in my husband's truck. I do not have great spatial awareness, so I'm very cautious backing the truck out of the space, and I'm going really, really slowly. And I can see out of the corner of my eye, this guy's just whipping through this parking lot way too fast. And all of a sudden, I hear a honk. OMG, did that set me off? I was just in a terror in my mind, did not look at the guy. I was like, I'm not going there. But I was thinking terrible, nasty things about how inappropriate he was being. And I got this wake up call from the divine. I love this little thing. Use it all the time. And the divine's going, wait a minute, everything is supposed to be love for you. And here you are making up a story that doesn't sound all that loving. What if you made up a story that was loving, that honk actually served you in some way and was a gracious, supporting, loving gesture? And I really had to think about it. And I did come up with some different things, but I got this profound insight that I'm the only one who can let love in for me. And I'm the only one who can give me power. Right?
Yeah.
We have total control over what our experience is. And that's why what you're doing is so incredibly valuable and meaningful and important. So thank you. Thank you.
Well, and the other piece of that is we are the ones who give our power away. Nobody takes it. I teach self-defense, girl. I will tell you, no one can make you a victim, but you can make yourself a victim. People might make you a target. They might try to make you a victim, but that is power that we can always hold or give away or take back.
Brilliant. brilliant. It is
yours
always
is love and mine is power.
Yeah.
But like inner power, like divine power. Yeah.
No, it's the same thing, because love is the most powerful thing of all. So yeah, it's all related. So I would love to have you tell us a bit about the free gift that you were telling me about before we started, because it's so in alignment with everything that we've been talking about. And this is so valuable. I want to make sure everybody downloads this.
Being able to understand what takes you out of your power sometimes it's important to look at those old patterns that were created a long time ago that you think are helping you, really aren't serving you anymore. And half of my work is helping people stop that. So the free gift that I've offered is called a mental fitness assessment, and it helps to identify self-sabotaging patterns and self-defeating behaviors that I'm not pointing any fingers, that you might be engaging in. For example, I have an overachiever, hyperachiever mindset that sometimes will not let me slow down. And when that starts, then I get adrenalized. Then I start feeling like I'm going to beat myself up, like in the TED Talk. And so I have to calmly move my brain out of that place. So I would love to help people understand what that is for themselves.
That's so important. Just knowing what sets you off, knowing what the gotchas are, then it's like, I did watch your TED Talk, freaking brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I'm going to tell everybody, you need to watch this TED Talk. It's so good. I know I said that already, but do it, because the dangers of your inner bully, you don't know what you don't know about yourself and how you're treating yourself. And one of the things that you were talking about in your TED Talk, you said, come up with something in advance before the stuff hits the fan and before you find yourself in this fight, flight, freeze situation. And that's so right on the money. Knowing what your triggers are and then preparing on what am I going to do when this happens makes all the difference in the world. Absolutely.
Well, and I have to say that I did a TEDx talk, and then about a year later, TED.com adopted it and moved it to the TED.com platform. And that's a synchronicity, right? You asked, like, how do people know when what you're doing is working? Synchronicities like that happen. You end up with your TEDx, and I love the TEDx, and then was notified that it was moved to TED.com. And you can't even submit for that. That is not even something you can ask for. So being able to figure out when you're in or when you're out of your power, it does so much more than just this moment. Although this moment is what we have, we're divinely gifted right now. But I love everything you're talking about.
That is wonderful. Theresa, we always love to turn the tables on our guests, because we know when we give is when we get the most.
Always.
So obviously we're going to support your TED Talk. Definitely. It's so important, such an important message. And I want everybody to like, comment, and share it the same way you do for my TED Talk. It really makes all the difference in the world. Is there anything else that we can do to support you?
My request is that if you know somebody who's struggling, if you see somebody who's starting to ask the questions, or they're overwhelmed or drained, find empathy for them. Just find some compassion and be a space for other people as much as you are for yourself. I think of that little kid who didn't know where to turn and didn't know that it was normal to struggle because our triggers show us where to go. But that's something we can all do for each other. And even when I teach self-defense, I tell people, if you learn something here, teach it to someone else. You don't have to just send them to me, but share what you learn, and share anything you've learned from my TED Talk or from this podcast or from Elaine. Please share it with someone else.
Absolutely. And honestly, the best way to learn something is to teach it to someone else. Because you have to explain it, you have to demonstrate it, you have to illustrate it, you have to bring it to life. You need to show how it works in real life. And by doing that, you own it yourself, you embody it and embed it in your system. So yes, that is an incredibly powerful thing to do. You win every time you support someone else by sharing. So brilliant. Theresa, I don't want to let you go, but I just got so much brilliant stuff from you today. I am going to pick one thing, just one, and we're going to activate abundance all around that. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, we'll be right back to Activate Abundance. So are you ready to activate abundance in every single area of your life? Well, you can get in flow with your business and your clients. It's as easy as you can imagine to create the kind of revenue you really want in your business. You can join me for the Abundance Journey 6-week training and coaching program that help you turn your problems into prosperity. Just visit theabundancejourney.com to sign up for our next adventure. Oh my gosh, Theresa's amazing. Amazing. I so love chatting with her because I get so much out of that experience. I love the way she talks about being in power and owning your power. So let's activate abundance. Obviously, huge gratitude for everything she had to say, but there's one thing in particular that I'm going to be pointing out. I want to acknowledge, step 2 is acknowledge one of the things that she said that really stood out for me, which is learn your contrast. Learn your contrast, learn your triggers, learn what sets you off, learn what pulls you down, learn what makes you small, what makes you want to be small, because you're not small. You're an infinite being with amazing power, and you can have so much more than you realize. When she said that, it was like a light bulb went off for me. I don't know if you noticed in the video. It's like, oh, yeah. So I want to appreciate the difference it can make in my life, because when I'm aware of those triggers, of that contrast that really ignites me or shuts me down, I can do something about it. And I can be prepared ahead of time and know what I'm going to do to offset any negative feelings that come up for me. So that's really, really important. Gratitude, step 2 is acknowledge, and that is learn your contrast, learn what hits you. And then step 3 is to appreciate the difference it can make in your life. When you know what to expect, you can plan ahead. You've got a lot more control. That makes a world of difference. Step 4 is to activate abundance. Now, there are a few different ways you can activate abundance. You can pull out your calendar and you can schedule it on your calendar. You could come up with an anchor that reminds you, oh, this is just one of my triggers, and I know what to do whenever I have a trigger. And it immediately takes you into the response that you want to have. You can also declare, this is what I'm going to do to make a difference. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is download the free gift that Theresa provided, because I love that it's an assessment, and I get to look at myself and figure out what are those contrast areas for me. And then I'm going to come up with a plan of what works for me to counteract that. And as I learned from trying to back out of that space in a great big truck, I have to make the meaning have love for me. It has to be about, how am I growing through this? What skills do I have the opportunity to apply in this moment so that I can be coming from my highest self right now in this moment? That's what's most important to me. So you may have a different response to your areas of contrast, but for me, that's what I really choose to gravitate to, is how can I come from my highest self in this moment? There was another question that Theresa asked that I wrote down, and I almost did the Activate Abundance segment on it. Where aren't I asking for more? Where could I be asking for more of myself? Right? It always starts with you. Amazing. Step 5, celebrate your progress. Oh my gosh, when you know what the areas of contrast are for you and you can plan ahead, all of a sudden it doesn't feel so weighty when those things happen. They're just a little blip. You know, I'm doing meditation, and my meditation teacher was saying, you know, before you learn how to meditate, when you experience contrast, that reaction that you have feels like it's a groove on stone. It's like permanently embedded in a piece of stone. And as you get more comfortable with it, as you get more facility with it, and your natural response is, hey, I know when my contrast comes up, here's what I do. And here's how I get back in my power instantly. It's not a big deal. This is not a growth opportunity. Here I am again. As you get used to doing that, that groove is no longer in stone. It's in sand, and a little puff of wind just blows it away. It's immaterial. It doesn't damage your life. It enhances your life. And you start to notice that challenges are almost kind of fun because you get to rise to the occasion again. You get to show what you're made of. You get to be your highest self in the moment. How cool is that? Go me, right? That's where we're coming from. That's what it's all about, is you being your best self and loving every single aspect of your life. Because quite frankly, you deserve a life you love. We'll see you next time for the Abundance Journey.
You've been listening to the Abundance Journey Show with Elaine Starling. Visit theabundancejourney.com/podcast gifts to access today's gift, as well as gifts from our other guests. Tune in every week to activate abundance in your life and business. If something resonated with you, please share it with your friends so they can benefit too. Keep activating abundance, and we'll see you in the next episode.